Oh, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Keys to the Jet. I'm your host, Red, and today we've got a few different cool things for you. Today we're talking about the crustiest legends in the Air Force, squadrons, bases, and hangars that refuse to die. We've got a few segments for you. We've got the oldest flying squadron. We've got the oldest base. And we've got the oldest hangar going on for you. We got some ads and everything like that. So sit back and enjoy. I've got a little script going here, so don't mind me reading it. This is a podcast, by the way. So wanted to teach you guys a little bit of stuff. We'll probably go through this day in aviation towards the end, and a little bit of aviation and defense news. That way you get your fill, you filthy animals. Also, I want to try to do an episode a day for 30 days just to get it up, just to get motivated, get out there, start kicking ass. And then, yeah, because if what's that? Was it Thomas Edison or whoever the fuck said it? A body in motion stays in motion and likes hot dogs. Something along those lines. Yeah. It's going to be a pretty good show. Hope everybody's doing okay. Thank you for showing up, for listening. And if this is your first time here, we're a military aviation based podcast. We also like to talk about all kinds of aviation. Anything that has wings, we're going to fucking talk about. We've started out with military stuff because I'm a prior military aircraft maintainer. The other guys, they're off doing stuff. They're busy still. So it's just me cruising, getting you through this train wreck of an awesome podcast that your mom loves. Tell her I said hi. Anyways. Yeah. So what are we going to talk about? Let's go to a couple things first. Let's go to this day in aviation first. I'm going to see if I can get through it and try to read stuff for you. I'm pretty bad at reading. Excuse me. There's a lot on this page to read. I don't know if I want to read it for you guys. Oh! Oh, yeah, this is a good one. Amelia Earhart, 21 June 1937, flew leg 23, Singapore to the Dutch East Indies. It's 538 nautical miles in her Lockheed Electra. Pretty cool. Badass pilot. 20th June 1941. That was yesterday. Today is what is going on here? I mean, I guess we could talk about yesterday. This is a pretty big one. It's a pretty big one. 20 June 1941, the Department of War established the United States Army Air Forces. The new organization consists of headquarters, Army Air Forces, the newly formed Air Force Combat Command, and the existing United States Army Air Corps. The USAAF was placed under the command of Major General Henry Harley Arnold, Chief of the Air Forces. At the end of 1941, the U.S. Army Air Force had a strength of 354,161 people. That's 24,521 officers and 329,640 enlisted. 12,297 aircraft and 4,477 of these classified as combat aircraft. Over the next 3 years, personnel would increase to a peak of 2,411,294 people. The number of aircraft reached a maximum of 79,988 by July 1944. And here's the organization. That's pretty cool. Boeing B-17, B-25, B-26, P-38, P-39, P-40, Douglas C-39. That, man, it just keeps going a little backwards. That was pretty cool. All right, let's go to Air Force Times for a second here. Talk about a couple things. Let's change this music. Here. How the U.S. has shifted military jets and ships in the Middle East. Let's see. Are we going to World War III? The U.S. is shifting military aircraft and warships into and around the Middle East to protect Israel from Iranian attacks as President Donald Trump wants Tehran to step back from the conflict. Dang, dude. We're going to World War III, huh? Whoa, U.S. troops based in the Middle East could be targets in conflict with Iran. About 40,000 U.S. personnel spread throughout the region, giving Iran a chance to strike back at American military forces. Dang, dude. A lot going on over there, man. Hope what is this world coming to? It's getting crazier and crazier every freaking day. Every freaking day. B-2 bombers head west across Pacific amidst Iran crisis. Oh, yeah. What is going on here? Yeah. They're flying B-2s. Cool. M28 Ghost bats controlled from E7 Wedgetail wingman test. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. Yeah, sorry, you guys. I mean, who wants to talk about it all? Let's stay positive, man. You know? Let's ask ChatGPT a question. Let's ask it a question. What can I help with? How can I should ask it if I should make an OnlyFans. Make some money. Anyways, you know, let's get to our 3 segments here. We got a few things we want to talk about. Yeah. Anyway, sorry about my ranting here. We're sorry about my uhs and ums. I'm not prepared. I'm just fucking winging it here. All righty. All right. Welcome back to Keys of the Jet, the podcast that smells like JP8, sweat, and dashed career hopes. I'm Red, retired wrench monkey, active snark dispenser, and your slightly crusty, heavily caffeinated tour guide through the greasy underbelly of military aviation. Now, today, we're getting into some real old head territory. We're talking about the oldest stuff still flying, operating, and standing in the Air Force. This stuff hasn't been around. This stuff that's been around longer than most of us have had back problems. And if it's old, it's been through a base closure board and somehow survived. So in this episode, we're hitting the oldest flying squadron, the oldest base, and the oldest hangar in the entire U.S. Air Force. If these things had ID cards, they'd be laminated with papyrus and signed by Orville Wright. All right. We're going to, which takes us into our first segment here. Let me change the music. The oldest flying squadron, the 1st Reconnaissance Squadron. Flying since before most of your family trees sprouted. Dang. So let's start with the 1st Reconnaissance Squadron. This ain't just some unit with heritage. This is the actual OG of the U.S. military aviation. Founded March 5th, 1913 as the 1st Provisional Aero Squadron, this bunch was operating aircraft before the U.S. even knew what an Air Force was. We're talking before World War I even started. Back then, pilots navigated by looking around real hard and hoping they didn't fly into a mountain. Let's go into the early days breakdown. Started with Wright Model B aircraft, which were basically shopping carts with wings and an engine built by madmen. The first mission, support for General Pershing during the Pancho Villa punitive expedition in 1916, where they tried to catch a revolutionary outlaw on horseback from the air with planes that maxed out at like 55 miles per hour. That's right. They were slower than your average base DUI. After that, they deployed to France in 1917 to join the World War I, where they were redesignated as the 1st Aero Squadron, then went through about 14 name changes because the Air Force can't resist a rebrand. Wow. Over the years, they've flown the Curtiss JN4s, de Havillands, B-18s, B-24s, B-29s, RB-47s, SR-71s, and now they fly the U-2 Dragon Lady, which, hilariously, is still older than most of its pilots' parents. A couple of U-2 fun facts. It flies at 70,000 feet. Pilots wear pressure suits like astronauts. It takes off looking majestic, lands like a baby giraffe learning to walk, and still requires chase cars to help land. That's right, we've got Mustangs chasing billion-dollar airplanes down the runway yelling, "Left, left, left!" They're currently stationed at Beale Air Force Base, California. Despite all the reactivations and reassignments, they've never stopped flying. Literally over 110 years in the Air Force. Imagine being that squadron's historian. Yes, sir, we've been everywhere, done everything, and probably have had more paperwork than the rest of ACC combined. Dang, man, they've been all over the place. And if you've ever fixed a jet, deployed with ISR, or pulled a 12-hour shift, wondering why the mission won't stop, thank the 1st Recon. They were the first to do it, and somehow they're still doing it better than most. All right, we're going to take a break for just a second. I will be right back with you. Stay tuned. Here's a word from our sponsors. This episode of Keys to the Jet is brought to you by Blue Falcon, the first ever meal kit made specifically for that one guy or unit who always rats people out to their shirt. Or whoever else. Tired of eating alone because you called safety over a missing pair of gloves? Or QA? Or ratted on somebody because there's no missing pair of gloves? Can't make friends because you snitched on your shop for leaving 5 minutes early? Blue Falcon has your back, so you can stab theirs. Every box comes with a pre-cooked microwavable chicken sandwich of betrayal, a side of guilt fries soaked in tears, and a dessert bar made entirely of crushed morale. And hey, each box includes a passive-aggressive note from your commander that says, "We appreciate your integrity. Please stop emailing me." Sign up now and receive a free reflective belt bib and coupon for one free counseling session with mental health that you'll totally never go to. Blue Falcon meal kits. You don't need friends when you've got accountability. Wow. Now, thank you. Thank you, Blue Falcon meal kits. The meal kit for backstabbers. Thank you for sponsoring this episode. All right. Let's get into our next segment. Our next segment is about the oldest U.S. Air Force base, which I think is wrong. And it might just be that's probably talking about Air Force Base and not from Army Air Corps days, which I probably should have been more specific, right? Talking about it. So the oldest U.S. Air Force base, the Joint Base San Antonio, or Kelly Field. Kelly Field, old, hot, and still doing the Lord's maintenance. Next up, let's talk about the oldest U.S. Air Force base. And I say this with all the respect in the world. Kelly Field has some things. Kelly Field, now part of Joint Base San Antonio, was established in 1917. That's the same year the U.S. entered World War I, and everyone still thought smoking was good for your lungs. Why San Antonio? Warm weather for year-round flying, flat land for crashing gently, and local cattle that didn't mind their pasture turning into a runway. At its peak, Kelly was the largest aviation training center in the country, hosted flight instructions, aircraft assembly, and maintenance depots. During World War II, it was pumping out more aircraft than the line at Popeyes during a chicken sandwich shortage. It's where the military figured out how to actually fix things. You had hangars full of mechanics rebuilding engines, overhauling B-17s, and training generations of maintainers to curse in 6 languages. Man, my phone keeps going off because people are walking in front of our cameras and shit, and it bothers the shit out of me. Doesn't it bother the shit out of you guys? Anyways, some of the famous figures. Benjamin Fuyos, who is, as mentioned before, taught himself to... Benjamin Fuyos taught himself to fly and became one of the architects of military aviation. General Hap Arnold trained here too. Post-World War II, it became home of Air Material Command. Whoa. Cool, huh? In the Cold War, it handled logistics for missile systems, electronics, and aircraft maintenance. And in 2001, officially merged into the Joint Base System, now combining Lackland, Randolph, and Kelly. I remember during basic training, while we were out and about, out in the field and whatnot, yeah, them talking about Kelly Field or seeing signs or whatever. Pretty cool. Legacy, it's the base that taught the Air Force how to do logistics, fix jets, and break them again during testing. If Beale is the eyes of the Air Force, then Kelly is the backbone and probably the bad knees too. But I would disagree with that. Here's a random detail about it. The original flight line still has railroad tracks running alongside it from when parts were delivered by train. That's right. Your modern day aircraft parts used to show up via steam engine and not Amazon or FedEx. Wow. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good one. I wish I would have had a little bit more detail in there about it, but that's okay. It's all right. Not everybody wants to learn about Kelly. Yeah. Everybody wants to learn about Kelly Field. Everybody learned about Edwards. They thought Edwards was kind of cool. I mean, I think Edwards is kind of cool. It's got a lot of desert. All right. We're going to take a break, hear from another sponsor, and yeah, let's hear from another sponsor, and then we'll be right back. This episode of Keys of the Jet is brought to you by today's show is sponsored by Tech Sergeant Taint Powder, the only medicated powder designed specifically for overworked, undershowered NCOs who spend too much time in Nomex and too little time in the air-conditioned facilities. Let's be honest, you've got more humidity in your undercarriage than a Florida thunderstorm. You've been walking around with a situation down there that's violating Article 134 of the UCMJ. Just one shake of TSTP and your meat and two veg will feel like they're standing under a fan at Chick-fil-A on Sunday. Formulated with crushed ego, expired Gold Bond, and just a pinch of the EPR bullet you plagiarized last year, Tech Sergeant Taint Powder. Because the only thing that should be burning on the flight line is the jet. Now available in original, mentholated, and why is it tingling? Wow. Thank you. That was a great ad from Tech Sergeant Taint Powder. It's for that swampy warrior out there. It's also, when you get out and you go to the VA, try to apply for Swamp Ass. Swamp Ass should be you should get paid for it. All right. We're on this historical choo-choo train about old shit in the Air Force. We're going to be on our last segment here. I don't know how long this episode is going to go. It might not go that long. Let's see here. All right. The last segment. The oldest hangar. Hangar 9 at Brooksfield. The last woodshed standing. Last but not least, let's talk about the oldest hangar in the Air Force. Still standing, Hangar 9. Built in 1918 at Brooksfield, San Antonio. This thing is the last surviving World War I era wooden aircraft hangar still around. The others got torn down, burned down, or blown away by hurricanes or disgruntled airmen. Brooksfield history, built as a flight surgeon training base, hosted both pilots and medics, and Hangar 9 was ground zero for biplane maintenance, and during the Spanish flu, a makeshift overflow hospital. So, jets, bandages, and phlegm, what a combo. The hangar itself, it's a big old wooden barn, about 16,000 square feet. Original wood trusses, hangar doors wide enough for biplanes, not C-17s. Designated a National Historic Landmark in 1976. It's been fully restored. Today, it's part of the Brooks City base development and used as an event venue and museum. So if you want to get married where they once lubed a Jenny, this is your place. There's ghost stories from what I hear from there. Absolutely. Rumor is there's a World War I pilot who still wanders the upper catwalk, confused why the aircraft are gone and why everything smells like catered brisket. Yeah. Some preservation details. You can't touch the walls, repaint the doors, or install a water fountain without about 14 pages of approvals. It's basically a museum you're allowed to rent, but not mess with. Whoa. All right. That was pretty good. It wasn't, you know what? I've taken you through a few things. We didn't learn much, but we learned about some things that I didn't know about three oldest shit in the Air Force. I can go into more detail if you want me to on the next episode. Yeah, what else is going on here? All right. We've reached the end of the oldest shit in the Air Force segments. We reached the end of this dusty oil stained historically glorious runway. The first recon squadron has been flying since your great grandpa was in diapers. Kelly Field trained the first Air Force nerds to turn wrenches and lead maintenance shops with duct tape and prayers. And Hangar 9 has survived wars, pandemics, possibly bad dancing, and military weddings. These places are reminders that Air Force history just isn't about jets. It's about people, missions, and buildings that refused to die. Yeah. Let's see. What else do we want to talk about today? What else do we want to talk? We're about 30 minutes into this episode. Oh, yeah. Well, you guys, I'm going to try to do an episode a day for 30 days. So if these episodes end up a little short, my bad. I apologize. Oh, there you go. Our attention spans are getting short, real short. So I figured I'd bring you a little shorter episode. We talk about a few things. We didn't necessarily go into like full detail about some stuff. I laid off the news today because the world is going fucking crazy. It's really weird. AI is getting crazy, out of control. Yeah. The the whole country's just bonkers right now. The whole, and you know what? I could probably do a political show right now. Do a political podcast and blow up. I'm just kidding. That won't happen. Or will it? Or could it? Could I? Could I? I should do a political podcast, huh? Just be like, after my tortillas. Yeah, get down after my tortillas. Yeah, the Democrats, the Republicans after my tortillas. I could probably do that. That would be fun, huh? Maybe like a side gig show. Yeah. Cool. All right, you guys. You know what? I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. This is cool. Give you a little 30-minute episode. It's not much, but it's something, right? And there's this video that we did on YouTube that I like to mention. I got a comment from somebody who was like, I clicked on this video to learn about a B-47. I didn't know it was going to be a half-baked skit. And then I commented back, we like to have fun doing our stuff, but I'm having fun when I'm talking about this kind of stuff. So, if it offends you that I'm not giving you the full scope, like I'm giving you some. Okay. I'm not like remember those big sets of encyclopedias that they used to come, Encyclopedia Britannica. Remember they used to come in like sets of like 20,000 books. You'd have to put somewhere in the house. You'd be like, oh man, I don't have any room for any of this. And then it would cost you like $90,000 a month. And you never had it paid off. And then after you died, they're calling your kids and shit to be like, this person still has a debt with Encyclopedia Britannica. We've got digital, but they're still paying for the hardback books. Yeah. Cool, huh? I'm just kidding. All right, guys. Listen to me. I will do better on this next episode. I'll have a better one. I thought this was going to be good. Thought it was going to be great. Turns out it's not. It's a little bit lackluster. But I'll have another episode, hopefully out for you tomorrow. One episode a day for 30 days. Just motivate. All right. I love you guys. I'm out of here. Okay, bye.